Welcome to the Shergroup podcast, where we share ideas on how to help businesses grow and prosper in the online world. Join host, Chief Shergroup Claire Sambrook as she discusses her digital journey and how Shergroup is helping thousands to keep their business flowing and growing. Here on the Shergroup podcast.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone, or wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is. I hope you're in a good place. And hello from Shergroup on the sofa with Claire and my good friend Sherry today. So before we get into talking to Sherry about enforcement and Call The Bailiffs, as we do on this little item, we just want to say hello to Shergroup's number one fan, Ross Saunders in Norfolk, UK. So hi, Rossi. How are you today? You might recognise her. She is now a TV personality, so a reluctant one, I think. But she's on TV, so I'm sure you've seen her. So thanks for that, Sherry, as well. So I wanted to interview you today because you are a superstar to me, a woman doing and working in enforcement. This is music to my ears. I have been campaigning and supporting and hoping that more women would come into enforcement. And I was so pleased when you put yourself forward to do this TV project called The Bailiffs Time Pay Up. So tell us, I mean, you know, I know you're a reluctant role model, but how did you end up working in enforcement?
I have worked in a man's world quite a lot, so it's kind of something, you know, that I was used to. I also like being out and about in the field. I wouldn't like to do an office job. I was a magistrate for 10 years. Yeah. And then I started seeing adverts for enforcement agent, and I thought, I like a challenge. It's going to give me the opportunity to be out and about, meeting different people from different walks of life. I was self-employed, so that was a bonus for me as well, because you can work your own hours. I always think sort of what you put into a job, you get out of it. And it is also challenging yourself as well. Yeah. So I thought, I think I can do this because I'm quite stubborn. I've had to learn to be patient in this job, and that was one of the reasons. And also, as you say, about females, I liked the idea of being one of the first females when I started.
Yeah, I really applaud that, because there are so many skills that women bring to this job. You know, just in terms of empathy, compassion, which are, I know some view that as soft, but they're the things that can tip people over into pain that otherwise wouldn't, aren't they? There are different levers to push, different buttons to push with people to get them to.
Yeah. I've had people say, you know, if I've been out with a male, I've had people say, I don't want to talk to him, I want to talk to you. But also I've knocked at the door when I've been on my own, and they've said to me, well, where's the man? Like they've struck, and I said, no, it's just me today. You know, you've got me. So people are very surprised. Even now, people are still surprised when a female enforcement agent turns up.
Well, as I often say about things like these situations where we're continuing to move forward as 50% of the planet, you know, it's evolution, not necessarily revolution. And what the TV show does for women agents is highlight your tenacity and your skills, but also that it's a job that other women might want to do, which they hadn't thought of before. And like you say, for some, a self-employed job out and about, particularly when they've got family and other commitments, perhaps is a good way to to build
It is.
a career in enforcement. So I
Yeah,
think
you
it's,
can work around. Yeah.
yeah, good. Well, that's good to know, because there's probably people watching this that have thought, "Oh, I wonder if I could do what Sherry's doing." And I think you set a great example as an exemplar. So, okay, so you've bitten off this job, you're doing it, and you're on
Yeah.
TV now showing how you do it. What are the pros and cons, do you think, of enforcement, well, or being an enforcement agent?
Yeah, I would say for me personally, a pro is being able to do, let me say, to be able to use my social skills. Because I think every job you go to, you have to adapt. You can't go and be the same with everybody.
No.
And if you like talking to people and you like interacting, for me, that's a big pro. You can
Yeah.
go and you can chop and change. I've been in people's houses and they've been really, really volatile, and I've seen pictures on the wall and I said, "Oh, is that your grandchildren?" And we've ended up having a chat, about grandchildren, these sorts of things. So for me, that's a pro. Also, there's good long working hours, so you can do a couple of hours in the morning at 6 o'clock. You can go back in the evening if somebody isn't in. If you're working in a shop, you have your set hours. But I like the flexibility. But then on the other side, obviously, you can go to a house 3 times and you know that the person is in, and you've got to be, you say, tenacious, keep going back. And people look at you out the window and you think, I've got to find a time or a reason. And I would say that that side of it is not the nicest side of doing it. Also, you get a lot of verbal abuse. I've been sworn at in every language under the sun. And I think you just have to wait for people to calm down. That's not very nice, but it shouldn't be part of the job, but it happens. So, that's not the best part of it. So, yeah, for me, it's being able to use social skills. And the other side of it is the frustration of having to walk away sometimes when you know you've done everything you can, but you still have to walk away.
Well, just to pull some things out of that. I mean, I think you come across as very calm and considered on national television, which is why when I was asked if we would do this TV show, I always think that that's a great thing to demonstrate to the public, but also to judges and to policy officials who I know watch this TV show and who make decisions about enforcement and who are not on the front line and have no idea what it means to be visited by an enforcement agent, or to see enforcement agents engaging with the public. And what I've liked about the TV show is that you all have your little quirks and maybe a little joke, and and even though you do get the rough end of it, the motor aspirations case was a good example of, oh my goodness, you came in for some real stick, didn't you?
I did.
And you kept your calm. You were so collected. I couldn't have done that. And I was so proud of you, the way you just kept checking the website and checking what he was doing online. And, and bit by bit, you were unpicking his story.
We got there. Yeah.
You did.
But a lot of it is doing what people don't realise. As agents, we put so much homework into it before we go somewhere, because I've done lots of screenshots of his cars that he said he didn't own or he didn't have. And he said, "Oh, they're nothing to do with us." So I was able to say, "Well, here you are, here you are, here you are." And you've got to be firm but fair. But to be honest, when the lady was shouting and screaming at me, I had more of a job not to laugh, not to smile, because
you can't do that either, can you? You can't laugh at people.
No, you can't. But people think they're the only ones that have ever said that to us. And unfortunately, it's just something that, you just ride with. There's no point in getting angry, because if you're angry and then the debtor's angry and they shout and you shout, you're not going to get anywhere. I think, you just got to stay professional.
And you absolutely do. I think you all do. I think it's amazing how, and over the years, I've worked with many agents in various capacities, and I've always been impressed by how people have stayed so calm and dare I say, had a bit of a sense of humour with the public, not necessarily needing to be too authoritarian unless it's absolutely necessary. And we all know it can be necessary because we're all holding on to the writ, aren't we? So we know what we can and cannot do.
Yes, yeah.
So you've worked with agents on screen, and you've worked with enforcement officers. I mean, do you have a favourite? Do you have one that you particularly with?
No, I can't say favourite. To be honest, the majority, I'm not saying all, but the majority, again, they are men. We've all got very similar mindsets. Now, David, who I worked with in the last series, we very quickly picked up what each other was thinking and was about to do, without actually saying anything. Like, I could glance at him and he would know, or, I could shake my head if the door was open for him to move away, and hopefully the debtor would move away so I could slip round the back and actually go in the house. And I think it's also nice if you can get on and have things in common with the person, not necessarily to do with work. So you've got sort of other things to chat about. Yeah, but David and I get on really well, yeah.
That's nice, because that was I was just watching it, the older axe in the corner. That was a bit scary, wasn't it?
I know. And, I had to laugh because the woman was saying, we're having our loft converted. Well, what carpenter leaves an axe behind the patio door with two small children? And who uses an axe to carve wood anyway? But yeah, it was only when the light came, when the lights went on, that we saw there was an axe there.
I was glad that the police officer picked it up, not you, and said, the police officer was quite interested, wasn't he, in the axe and what it was there for.
Very much so. Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's good, because what the show demonstrates, isn't it, the tremendous support we have from the police. I mean, I'm sure some days it takes a bit longer to get there, but it seems that when you call for them, they're there for you, and are not taking sides, just making sure that everybody's safe.
Yes, that's the main thing, actually being safe. And to stop a breach of the peace. We've been somewhere a couple of times before. For myself, I like to let them know and maybe arrange to actually meet them, so they can be there, as I say, to stop a breach of peace. And most of the time they are very good, and they will not interfere, but they will put people straight as to what we can and what we can't do.
Well,
and it's usually it's very often the debtor that calls the police.
Well, that's fine. We don't mind,
because they think we're not there, and I'll say, that's fine, would you like to use my phone?
We have no problem with dealing with the police.
Absolutely no.
So what was your experience? I mean, you I remember interviewing you with Chris Lucas Jones at Absolute. Hello, Chris. And getting you to come on the TV show, which you didn't really hesitate. You seemed pretty open to the opportunity, which was great for us, because it was quite hard in the pandemic to find agents. So what's your experience been of working in TV on this particular show?
On this show, I have to say I enjoyed the second series better, maybe because I gelled more so with the guy I was working with. Also, I knew what to expect. He was rather nervous. So I was able to, step in and answer questions. But it was fun. It was actually good fun. We all got on so well. And, why shouldn't it be fun? We all enjoyed each other's company. Yes, obviously, when we were working, we had to be serious and do our job. And they were very good. They didn't interfere. They backed away. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was a good opportunity to show that females can do the job just as well. You don't have to be 6 foot something. I mean, I'm 5'3", 8.5 stone, so I still get payments.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not all about the physical side of the job. No. It's up here. It's the psychology. Pushing the right buttons and encouraging people to pay, which I think
it's how you speak to people. They kind of expect you. I will say, well, I'll kill them with kindness. It doesn't always work, but I will keep going and being as reasonable and trying to explain things as possible. Yes, there comes a time when you've got to play hardball, but most of the time I do think speaking to people and listening, you don't always have time to listen to their story, but if you can listen and they think you're understanding their side of the story, because everybody's got a story,
of course.
It makes it a bit easier.
Do you think that the TV shows educate the public around what happens when a bailiff knocks on the door?
I do think it works both ways, because I've had examples where I've gone to a house, I've knocked on the door, nobody's answered, I've tried the handle, I've stepped in, I've shouted I'm there, and somebody will come charging down the stairs and try to shove me out. And then someone else will come and say, oh, she's allowed to come in, I've seen it on the telly. And so, they say, no, you can't come in. And they say, well, they can actually, Mum, they are allowed to come in. So in that way, yes. But on the other side of the coin, I think they know things like I've had people park their car on other people's drives and these sorts of things. So I think it does work both ways. But
of course.
To see, other people's situations, and how things are dealt with.
I think I like to do it because I think it reminds people of the difficulties that debt can bring, because we only cover money judgments in the series. We don't get into our property work at all, because we've decided to stay away from that in this series. And I think it just reminds everybody that there for the grace of God go I, because we could all end up in a financial pickle. It's not a crime, but we just want to try and keep people out of that arena as much as possible. And so I think
communication. So many people just put their head in the sand, and I think showing on the television that it's not going to go away.
Yes,
it's just not going to go away. And I've been in houses and they say, well, we haven't had any letters, we don't know anything about it. And I'll say, well, look, here's a letter, here's another letter. And they are there, and they just think, and the amount of people that have said to me, oh, I thought it would go away after 6 months. It doesn't. No. If you get a letter, phone up and, get it sorted. Don't just hope that, it's going to go away, because it just doesn't. And I think that is something that would show the public, if you get a parking fine or whatever it is, just phone up and get it sorted.
Get it sorted. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's good advice from Sherry. I totally support that. I mean, you say that, you know, this persistency and the tenacity that agents have. I mean, you definitely demonstrated that in the motor aspirations case, and that wasn't the first time you'd been to his address or his showroom. Was that the
No, Alex, yeah, it was the first time I'd been there, but Alex had been there, and the female had come out shouting and said there was, you know, nobody there. But once Alex and I went together, we went to the address where it said the cars were. I was able, sort of, as he was driving, I was doing my research and my homework, which people don't get to see that.
No.
You know, we were driving for an hour and I spent over an hour just researching and looking for links. And yes, I don't like technology, but I'm so nosy. I will keep going and going and going.
I thought it was great you did all that on your phone. I was so impressed that you had your phone there and you were saying, you know, look at company's house, I've got you here, and I've looked at the vehicle, and it's on, you know, it's on your website. And I was thinking, she's doing all that on her phone in the field. And, you know, I thought that was fantastic, the way that you were just demolishing each objection he was coming up with by using just your phone, you know, which, when you're under pressure as well, and you've got people looking at you, and you've got the wife hurling the abuse or the partner hurling the abuse, I thought it was a good case study of control in a difficult situation. That's what I thought. It was very, very good. But what has been your most challenging case? Has that been one of your most challenging cases, or have you had others on the team?
It was very challenging, but we did get paid at the end of it.
Yes.
However, the man with the axe was unbelievably frustrating, challenging.
Really?
We went there 3 times. We came away, we sort of parked around the corner, and David and I both said to each other, he's there. We know he's living there, because the woman had spun us a load of lies, which you just get to know with experience. You know, most of the time, you know. First of all, she said she didn't know him, and then she said she'd reported him and he'd been thrown out for domestic violence. And, you know, we could see a package on the side addressed to him, even though she said she didn't know him and he'd never lived there. So we went back a second time, and we had a plan. We'd gone into the garage and we saw a lot of stuff in there, and one of us was going to go in the garage while the other, hopefully she would run out and the other one could go in the house.
Yeah.
But when we did eventually get in, he left. He wouldn't engage with us. But the amount of stuff that we found in the house, you see, he had 3 cars outside which we wanted to clamp and remove.
Yeah.
But we weren't, even though we'd been told by the claimant, there was photographs of him last year on Facebook saying, oh, look at my new cars. He'd slightly changed the name or the letter in one of his names to actually, we knew the cars were his, but we couldn't just get it over the finishing line. And on the last day, we sat in the van for over 10 hours with the police, trying to find a way, because we were saying, well, if they're not his cars, just show us the paperwork. It's very simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've never been in a house with so much paperwork, with slightly different names, different passports to the people who were living there, but slightly different spellings. And if we'd have got paid in the end, it wouldn't have been so bad, but we went back 3 times. And funnily enough, when something gets in your head, for me, it's very hard to let go. I just happened to put his name in Facebook, and I saw he's there boasting he's got another new car. And also, funnily enough, in his garage, amongst half a dozen briefcases, there was letters addressed to the claimant. Why would he have them?
Yes,
So
that's
he
weird.
managed. Yeah, it was weird, and it was something that, we took photographs of. But it was so challenging, and it ended up me running down the road when he left the house, shouting his name at him with his balaclava and
I
everything.
saw the balaclava.
Yeah, which I thought, what a coward! You come.
Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, I think this is a side of enforcement which people that are making policy around enforcement don't see and don't really may not follow it, which is that fake IDs, fake information is definitely on the rise. We've seen a couple of instances of that are recorded in this TV show. It is very difficult to track down the person when IDs are fake. And I think what it's difficult to bottle it, but I think you all have such a good sense of smell around a fake situation. And it doesn't always sit easily in the regulations about what to do with it. Where people are, swapping out IDs and personas to avoid payment. But that's a real risk for creditors now and people going to court. That the person on the side, and indeed people advising them, they're not playing any kind of rules.
No, not at all.
Not
at all.
And therefore, policy officials have to be aware of that.
But I mean, it was frustrating because we knew the cars.
I'm sure. I get it. I completely understand what you're saying.
And this is
things, Rajan.
You've got to keep your patience. What you say to each other in the van afterwards is a completely different.
That's what you say in the van. What gets said in the van stays in the van, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there is a remedy to that, which is to test that persona and make them make a third-party claim to whatever they say is theirs and test it. But we need support from judges around third-party claims because that is a tricky situation for claimants and creditors to go down. We need to be clear on evidence, and judges need to really hold third parties strictly to the rules when it comes to making a third, because it's serious, because they're interfering with the law, the operation of the writ. And so if they don't follow the rules, then it's very difficult for us to be able to enforce the writ. So I'm sure you've seen that in your travels.
Frustrating.
Yeah, well, it's frustrating for you, but it's for the poor old creditor. It's mind-boggling, because and I know that their comment is, how do they get away with that?
Yes.
So that's the thing that's the thing about high court enforcement, that everybody has a lot of confidence in it, and we want to maintain that. And people like you help us maintain that, which is great. So, I mean, after the success of seeing season 2, I mean, do you watch it? Do your family watch it on the TV?
Yes, they do. They do watch it. They're all very, very busy people, though. But they always watch it sort of when they come back from wherever they've been. Yeah.
Of course. Mm-hmm. And do they give you feedback like, "Mum, you were awesome," or "Mum, you did a great job," or?
No, not really. I don't know how to explain this. They know me. They know I'm always having an adventure, because people say to children, "Aren't you scared for your mum?" And they say, "No, we know mum."
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a compliment, but they have said, "Oh my goodness, I couldn't do that." I have this thing, for me, there's always somebody at the other end who needs the money, and I'm not yes, the debtors, and one of them was an example. It was a lady who'd been a guarantor for her son several times, and unfortunately it came back to her, and I felt so sorry for her. It was about the fourth or fifth time that she'd actually had to pay this debt because he hadn't paid his rent and all the rest of it. And you know, I just felt really, really bad for her. And I sat and had a conversation and, you know, said, look, I empathize with you. I've got children. And she, you know, she was crying and saying, why does my son keep doing this to me? And my answer would have been, because you let him, you know. But there are a lot of times when you have to, for me, I am sympathetic because they think they're helping someone and they end up in debt themselves. So it's not always, you know, cut and dried and people doing fake IDs.
No, not at all. I mean, that's what makes us work in this world, right? That every day is different, and there are no one writ is ever the same. You know, they're all different stories. Everybody's got a different backstory. Some people you can help, some people are completely belligerent. There are a lot of people in the middle who just, life has just overwhelmed them. And I, for my part, I always think it's a blessing that it's us on the street doing it. Shergroup is on the street doing it, and Shergroup is picking agents like you to go and tackle some of these difficult problems, because I know that the people will get a fair, they'll get a fair assessment. They'll be handled professionally, and in a difficult situation, that's what I want for High Court enforcement. And you know, people can be cynical about that if they like. I mean, I know, and you know, that the TV show itself is just the TV crews saying, right, what jobs are on the sheet tomorrow? Let's come out with you. And they've just filmed what they've seen and done it very professionally, I think.
A lot of people just see us as the bad guy.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've said to people, so if the situation was reversed and, right, you owe £10,000, but if somebody owed you £10,000, are you just going to say, oh, no, it's okay? And usually they come out swearing, oh, I'll do this and I'll do that. And I say, well, you know, there is somebody at the other end who needs the money. Yeah. Maybe you haven't got the money, but did you think about this, you know, when you sold the cars or you didn't pay your rent or whatever? And I think that's a good thing for the public, because they don't always stop and remember that there is somebody who may be going through hardship because they need this money. And that is my sole focus, to, you know, try and get the money back for the person who's owed it. Yeah, and that's entirely the point of the writ. And it is the delivery of justice to the court system, which is why many of us do this job, because we believe in a system of justice, which sounds very grand. It's not meant to, but you know, once you get the bug for it, which I can see in you, and I got that as a young girl, it's very difficult to walk away, because what other job gives you that sense of, you know, of different situations every day, and problem solving every day, and meeting different people every day like you do. So I mean, this is such a great way to talk about what you do and why you do it. I mean, have you got any advice for people that might be thinking about becoming enforcement agents and have seen you on the show and thinking, I'd like to have a go at what Sherry's doing? Have you got any advice for people? I would say, if you have any thought in your mind that you want to do it, do it. It's not for the faint-hearted, I will say that. you've got to stand your ground because you will be, sworn at and everything. But if you're, I'm not sure how to explain it, but if you've got anything about you and you think you can do it and you want to meet people, it's not difficult every day. You don't, you have nice conversations with people. And you can earn decent money from it. Yes, some days you don't, but when you average it out, I would say if it's something that you've even thought about, then, just go for it. It doesn't matter how tall or short or, what size you are. For me, people say, oh, do you do martial arts or anything? And I say, no, my tongue's my weapon, because I can just talk to people.
Yeah, that's very...
That's the thing. If you like meeting people and you like being out and about, yes, you will get a lot of verbal abuse, but you can just stand there and wait for somebody to calm down. And like me, if you think, you want to test yourself or you like a challenge, I would just say, just go for it. And you can have a laugh as well. You can have a laugh.
Yeah, I've done that over the years with various enforcement agents who may be watching this show. We've had a good laugh together about the situations and different things that have happened, things that have gone wrong. Not everything goes right in enforcement.
Some really funny situations, people trying to hide from you. And I had a chap who'd only talk to me when he put his crown on his head. And it was only a plastic crown, but he was sat in bed and I went up to his bedroom and he would literally only talk to me when he put his crown on. And when he took his crown off, he told me to be quiet. And I just went along with it,
Yeah.
So you can have a laugh about it.
There are. I'm sure there's a whole shed load of anecdotes, Sherry, that you've tucked up somewhere. Maybe another day we'll just do anecdotes, stories. But anyway, well, listen, that's a really interesting discussion, and probably the first one done by a woman enforcement agent on the topic of High Court enforcement. So I'm delighted that you've agreed to take part in the TV show, first of all. I think you're a complete role model for women. And I make no apology for saying that. We make 50% of the planet up, and I'm very proud of you, and I'm very proud of the Lionesses. So there you go.
Yes.
So if you want to know more about being an enforcement agent, you can find Sherry on our website. Under the Call The Bailiff banner. She has her own profile page. You can contact Shergroup at shergroup.com. You can also contact Absolute Enforcement, where Sherry is annexed to that team as part of their enforcement team. So there's a lot of us out there that are willing to talk to you and would want to encourage you to step up into this role if that's what you think you want to do, having watched the TV show. So that's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in. And thank you, Sherry, again, for a TV show star. Yeah, it's been lovely talking to you. And I know you're a bit reluctant about Zoom, but you've done a great job and a great service for High Court enforcement. For everyone else, look, we're on every channel out there: Facebook, Insta, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn. We love talking about enforcement. We love showcasing our tremendous agents. We did this TV show to showcase them and what it means to do High Court enforcement. We're not shy about it. And I think you, the public, have enjoyed watching it, which is great for us. But this is our job and this is our world. And we all take a pride in being part of that world. So thank you very much. And we'll see you next time with Shergroup on the Sofa. Thank you, Sherry. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Shergroupie podcast. To join our Shergroupie community, subscribe by going to our website at www.shergroup.com. Keep up with the latest Shergroup news across all our main channels. including YouTube, LinkedIn, and across all social media. Stay connected and begin building more business relationships.